Welcome, everybody. This is Julian from Straight from a Scientist podcast, and I'm here with Claudia Alarcón López. I did my best Spanish accent on that. She's a nanotechnology student in Mexico, and she's here to tell us a little bit about what she does, what she's researching, and to explain to us what is nanotechnology, because I'll be honest, I don't really know much about it. So please feel free to introduce yourself, Claudia.
Well, hi, it's an honor to be here. My name is Claudia Alarcón López. As you can notice, it's a Spanish name, and I'm from Mexico. That's why. But I'm better known in Instagram as the Nanotech Girl. Sorry. And I did this Instagram to tell people what nanotechnology is, because as you are saying, we don't know what nanotechnology is.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess before we get started, we can, just explain to us what is nanotechnology, because I had the same question when I met you on Instagram. We chatted a little bit, but explain to us what is nanotechnology and what are its uses?
Well, nanotechnology is the science in nanoscale. Nanoscale is 1 to the 100 nanometers. And you don't know how small it is. If you don't know how small it is, you can imagine a sheet of paper and a nanometer. A sheet of paper is 100,000 nanometers.
100,000.
Long.
Wow. So you're
Like
talking
like
the width
yeah,
of the paper
the
is
width.
100,000 nanometers. Wow.
That's how small it is. So you can use a microscope
You can't use
to.
a microscope.
No, you can't. And the father of nanotechnology is Richard Feynman. He was at Caltech, like in the 1959, and he was the one who talked about nanotechnology first. But actually, it has been used from back in the day, The stained glass of the medieval times is a great example because it's pure nanotechnology, but we don't even know that they didn't even know they were using nanotechnology. That's
Wow,
why it's so new.
so what is the main use of nanotechnology nowadays? What are people using it for?
Well, there are a lot of fields. My favorite ones are medicine. They're using it. It's called nanomedicine actually, and also in materials. It's very useful for hydrophobic surface. For actually clothes. You can use it in everything: materials, medicine, food. Actually, in everything. Everything you can imagine, you can use nanotechnology. That's why I like it.
Interesting. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question. If you cannot use microscopes to see it or to study it, how do you study it?
Well, that's a good question. For example, here in Mexico, there's only like 2 universities that has nanoscale machines that you can use to work in nanoscale. But it's so specialized and expensive that, for example, here in Mexico, it's not that easy to study nanotechnology. But in the US, you have a lot of resources to study this field, and that's why you're like at the top in this topic.
Interesting. Okay. So what do you see in the future of nanotechnology? What do you think it will do as far as medicine goes, or what do you think?
Well, in medicine, it's really, I think it's going to help a lot with delivery. That is one of the most, it's a real big problem, delivery.
Delivery, as in
Yeah.
delivery of babies.
No, delivery of the
Delivery of
medicine
yeah.
in
Okay,
the
I was
body.
thinking
Yeah,
delivery.
no,
Okay, so you're talking about delivery of drugs, like
of drugs. Yes,
pharmaceutical drugs. Okay.
because it's gonna be more specialized. Like it's gonna be targeted to what you want
Okay.
to cure. And also, for example, you can do it with cancer. You can put, how do you say, like receptors.
Receptors, yep. You can tell me in Spanish if you don't if you don't know any words, and maybe I will be able to help
Okay,
you.
like it's a transport. You can,
It's a transporter. Okay, so it aids in
yeah,
a transporter. Okay, interesting.
you can tell the drug where to go, how to deliver the drug, and maybe you're not gonna need to take a lot of pills. Maybe with one pill, you can put all the amount of drug you have to take, but you are gonna deliver the drug like in amounts of time, like
Yeah.
you can stop the delivery and then.
So like a time release drug is what
Yes,
you're saying.
exactly, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. That's really cool actually. So it sounds like in my field in neuroscience we use a lot of, for example, I'm going to give an example of a PET scan. We use these PET scans to scan the brain sometimes, and we create molecules that attach to certain things in the brain. And then the PET scan can read these molecules. So we call this like radionucleotide. I'm not sure if they use nanotechnology for this, but it seems like that's what you're trying to say, is that these molecules, these nanomolecules, allow for what we want to attach and go exactly where we want to go in the body. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's
And
really cool.
also,
Yeah, that could be
for
good for
example,
cancer research as well, right?
they're using it now, but it's really expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But also, even though it sounds really expensive, and it is expensive, once you like go in the industry, for example, in materials, you maybe you expend a lot of money in the first place, but you save a lot. If you look in the future, you're gonna save a lot of money if you use nanotechnology, because you are gonna know when to use the things. Like you're gonna have complete control of your materials,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. I
Like
guess
no waste and everything.
so. There's you bring up a very good point. There's a lot of problems nowadays with pharmaceutical drugs. Is that let's say, for example, Parkinson's disease. If you have Parkinson's disease, you have a problem with the dopamine neurons in the substantia nigra. Now, if you take dopamine as a drug, you are helping the dopamine neurons in the substantia nigra, but you're also using the dopamine is going all over the body. It's going into your peripheral nervous system, into your central nervous system. So your whole body is getting affected by the drug, whereas there's only one part that is negatively affected by Parkinson's. So the problem is that there's not really specific drugs that affect only one part of the brain. So this is some problems that we're having in neuroscience, at least, is that it's hard to get a specific drug to go to one place and only one place, because it gets dissolved and used by the entire body. So from what I'm understanding, it seems that nanotechnology, as far as with relation to pharmaceutical drugs, could be pretty big, could be pretty important in the future as far as drug delivery goes.
And also, it's actually in use now. There are cancer detectors that, with gold nanoparticles, the properties of gold change in nanoscale. All the elements change in nanoscale, their properties. And actually, gold is like a sniffer for cancer cells. So they tell you where they are.
Wow, so they're
Uh,
using gold to look for the cancer cells.
yes, gold
Interesting.
nanoparticles, gold nanoparticles functionalize with DNA. They
Wow,
can identify whether or not someone has sepsis, for example.
that's really cool. Actually, I had no idea. Interesting. So this seems to be a relatively new field of study, right? I don't know any universities near me that offer nanotechnology degrees.
UPenn is one of the best.
UPenn, okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So what do you want to do after you graduate?
Well, as you can see, nanotechnology has a real big field. So I might be studying nanotechnology, but it's just a key to many keys. So I have to choose whether I like materials, nanomedicine,
What do you like the
or
most so far?
all of them. That's
All
my
of them. You
problem.
don't have any that you like more than others, or
I'm actually also a fashion designer.
a fashion designer? Okay.
During middle school, I studied fashion design, and I would love to combine both of my passions with because you can use nanoparticles in clothes that absorb heat, that don't make you sweat. You
So,
can put a
so
lot of
So you're
uh,
saying that we can use nanoparticles to make a shirt keep us more warm or keep us
exactly.
cooler or absorb the bad smell from. Actually, that's funny. My sister bought me, I'm not sure if it had nanoparticles in it, but she bought me a special shirt that she said I could wear for like a week and it won't smell bad. And I have to be,
Yes,
yeah, I have to be honest, and it works. I don't know if it's nanoparticles. I don't know anything about the company, but I was kind of amazed.
yeah, and I would love to be in that field because I love um, both of them.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and that shirt, it's actually microbe killing silver that are silver nanoparticles added to clothes
Mm-hmm.
to um, that give them the ability to kill bacteria and fungi so that the nasty
Yeah,
odors don't smell.
that's really cool. Now you can wash this and do whatever you like. The shirt is a normal shirt, but it just has silver particles in it.
Yes,
That's crazy.
that's the only problem because when you wash it, now there's not a lot of people that has this kind of clothes. But if it becomes if it becomes the normal clothes that we use, it's gonna affect the ocean because nanoparticles are not. We are
Biodegradable.
still,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the only problem. That's why I wanna do research in this.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. Yeah, that's another problem. Hmm.
And I would love to if I'm able to make this kind of clothes like waterproof, sun blocking, microbe killing clothes. I would love to go to populations that only has one outfit, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and help them by giving them something that they can use all their lives.
Exactly.
Hmm.
That's really cool, actually. I didn't think of that at all. So, do you see this in the future? Do you think in the next 5, 10 years we will have these clothes that they don't smell bad, they kill bacteria, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Whoa, that's cool. I had no idea. Yeah, the first, what I'm surprised you're telling. The first thing I heard about this was when my sister gave me this shirt about a couple months ago, and I'm sure they're using some sort of nanotechnology, and then I'll have to do some research on them, on the company. Cool. So let's see. Another question I have for you is how has the knowledge that you gained from your research and studies changed the way that you look at life and that you think about life?
Well, now I see that everything has a pattern and everything has a reason to be. And I don't know, I love to be able to apply my knowledge in my daily life
Mm-hmm.
so that I know how math is applying in my food or physics, chemistry. Like when I'm washing the dishes, I remember the miles and all my biochemistry classes and everything. I can relate, and I love that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a problem. You can never escape from the studies. I find myself doing the same. So what do you, speaking about your daily life, what do you do outside of the lab? What do you do for fun?
Ooh, I do a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Actually, my hobby is um, to learn things. I love learning new things. I'm currently studying sign language.
Sign language, cool. I was gonna say languages is one of the best things to learn.
Yes. Oh, I'm only studying sign language and Portuguese.
And Portuguese, okay. Yeah, if you
I
know
know the
Spanish,
French.
it's easy to learn Portuguese, I think.
Yes, because I know English, French, and Spanish. So Portuguese is the combination of those
And
three.
then you
So
have
it's
to learn Italian, and then you got it
yeah,
all.
exactly. That's the
Exactly.
plan.
Nice.
And I also love doing exercise. I try to do daily to be healthy.
Of course.
And I like to cook. I like to go out.
I was telling her before the podcast, guys, that the Mexican food is the best in the world, in my opinion.
Of course, of course. No
So,
doubt.
no doubt. Yeah, I have no doubt either. It's now I wanted to ask you another question. Do you have any advice for people that are looking to get into nanotechnology or in science in general? What kind of advice would you give them?
To don't be afraid. As I said in another interview, you're not gonna know everything in the beginning. So you have to be able to study. In the first place, be ready to read and do auto lectures. You have to be engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and you are responsible for your education. You can be in any university, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you put into it.
Exactly.
And it will be my advice for any field, because when you study, it's the same to study architecture or science. You have to put what you want into it.
Yeah, so I guess you're saying what you put into it is what you will get out of it, right?
Exactly.
That's a good quote. Yes, and that's true. Especially in the sciences field, you have to do a lot of reading scientific papers, and so
Mm-hmm.
cool. Okay.
And another advice would be to have a really good knowledge of the basics, because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to apply it even in complicated topics. You're going to apply those
Mm-hmm.
fundamental topics. You have to master them.
Mm-hmm. So master the basics and have a strong base, and you'll be successful.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. So do you think you will do any sort of, you're doing your undergraduate right now, do you think you'll do any masters or PhD or anything like that, or?
I think I'm gonna straight for a PhD,
Ah, okay, cool.
because they allow us to do it, because we end up like kind of with a master's.
Mm-hmm. So you'll do it in Mexico, or
No, the plan is
you don't know
I'm
yet?
studying here.
Yeah.
I'm studying here because I want to know the problems that Mexico has in
Mm-hmm.
science, and to not be an outsider when I come back.
Exactly.
Because I will be back when I study my PhD, because I really want to help my country. So I'm thinking of course, United States, also Europe,
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia.
I think
I'm open to it.
you would like Spain too, I think.
Yes, like everything. I'm
Everything.
open.
Cool. Well, excellent, Claudia. Good luck on your adventures. I'm running out of questions to ask you. Do you have anything else to tell us about nanotechnology?
Mm, you're both
Yeah,
neuro students, right?
we are studying neuroscience. So
There's a lot of things that you can apply with nanotechnology.
tell me, please.
Um, give me a second,
Okay.
because I want to tell you exactly.
Take your time. Yeah, I'm excited to hear this. Yeah, the only thing I could think of was The neuroimaging scans that we use, sometimes we use special radioligands that bind to specific molecule proteins in the brain. So, I don't know. You tell me. I don't. To be honest, before speaking with you, I had no idea about nanotechnology.
For example, for mapping the brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the number one applications
Uses
of nano. Yeah,
brain mapping. That's really cool.
brain mapping. And for example, nanotechnology is the study of controlling matter on an atomic and molecular scale.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about atoms. So you can manipulate atoms. So if you have your nervous system and your peripheral nervous system, and imagine to be able to repair the damaged area
Mm-hmm.
with molecules. Like you actually can control them and move them
Now, how do you control and move them, though? This is a question I had earlier, but I forgot.
with nanobots.
Nanobots. So, do you have like a remote control to control them, or
Yeah, kind of like,
kind
and
of?
you can put you can program them first so that they know, like they have a receptor. They know which receptor to go to,
Mm-hmm.
and they can attach to it and pretend to be part of our body.
Mm-hmm.
They can be really good in camouflage,
Mm-hmm.
so our body doesn't reject them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem. So maybe if you have an injured nerve, you say you can inject these and they can pretend to be part of the nerve and kind of replace the injured part. Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really
So,
cool.
so nanotechnologies offer the capacity to take advantage of the functional specificity of molecules, as I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
by incorporating them into engineering materials and devices to have highly targeted effects.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you get with nanotechnology, highly targeted.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Don't worry, don't worry. You're doing excellent. I was telling you, your English is better than mine, so don't worry. So,
That's true.
yeah, I think that's something that's really important, especially in my field. Like I said earlier, Parkinson's have a problem with drugs is that when you take it, it affects your whole body instead of just the problem. So this is something we need to fix because that's why a lot of drugs have negative side effects. It's helping you with one problem, but it's also causing another problem. So
Exactly.
yeah, this is something, this is definitely, I see this in the future. Science needs to work together. Neuroscience needs to work with nanotechnologists, and we need to, work together and use a global approach.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need to be really interdisciplinary so that we like do teamwork.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm happy we started this podcast. We get to talk to people from all over the world studying all kinds of different things. So thank you for coming on today, Claudia.
Thank
It
you.
was a pleasure speaking with you. And if people
Thank
want to
you.
talk to you or contact you, I guess you said earlier your Instagram is what you use mostly for speaking to the
Yes.
public. Yep.
It's the dot nanotech girl.
Yep. And we will post it in the show notes, don't worry, so you
Thank
can
you.
find her. And then
Actually, I would love to tell you about my Friday
your
because
what?
it's yesterday to talk
Your
about
Friday.
this.
Tell me about your Friday.
Well, it was my friend's presentation of his thesis,
Okay.
and he's gonna use he's gonna be modeling. How would you put? Um, well, the goal is to that chips are going to be smaller and smaller. They're becoming small. So we're now at micro level. So we're going to be at nano level. And after nano, it's even more complicated. So what he's saying,
nano.
yeah. So what he's saying, he's going to use DNA to conduct electricity.
Whoa.
And I think that's the future. If you're asking me about the future, that's the future. And here in my school, they're doing this. So I'm really proud of all of the team working on it.
That's really cool, but I don't fully understand. So they're using DNA to conduct electricity, but for what purpose?
For chips, for optical
so
fiber.
You're saying you're putting the nano chip into the body and then using the DNA of the body to run an electrical current? No, I don't.
Like for cell phones, for example.
Ah, okay.
So, you know that DNA can replicate itself?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine replicating itself with electricity conductivity.
So you're saying the DNA is replicating itself, which is causing an electrical current?
Yes.
Whoa. So instead of solar power, we have DNA power.
Exactly. And we are not going to need any cables or...
That's great. That's the first time I've heard anything about this.
Exactly. They're like the first ones.
Yeah. Well, that's really
So if anyone hearing this is interested in this, I can contact you with them.
Yeah, that's really cool. I had no idea that. Yeah, that's another thing we've been, that's interesting. So I guess nano chips is the next level. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, we'll have to interview you again in 6 months and to hear the updates in the field, because it seems like it's moving really fast.
Yes, it does. It's really moving. So I have to study, we study everything as it goes.
So stay up to date.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you, Claudia, again for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and take care. And I will put all your, if you have a bio or anything you want me to put in the show notes, please just send it to me.
Okay. Thank you very much. And if you have any more questions about Nano, I try to post about it so that people will understand about it.
Yeah, everybody go follow her on Instagram. She has a lot of really cool posts and a lot of interesting information. So check her out. Okay. Bye-bye.